Hi people, this is Rio Ray Frosher here. It is December 6th, 2017, and I am here today to let you know that to empower all of these people who are being gang stalked and being messed with energetically. I'm here to empower you. I'm here to let you know you have an ally. You're not crazy. I know this is going on because I have been targeted since birth, and I'll get into that in another video. But today I want to empower you with an understanding of what's going on in a larger sense, in a bigger picture. So we're going to go outside of Earth and take a galactic perspective, which is the perspective that I live from on a daily basis for the most part. Just a quick background about myself. I've been through the military, so I know what bullshit that is. And I have devoted most of my adult life to studying metaphysics, so you can trust what I say, and I will post links with this video of sources that I use on a daily basis so that you can educate yourself about this if you don't want to just believe me. And I encourage you to do your own research, because that is going to empower you more than just listening to me. But you can trust what I'm telling you is the truth. And you will, if you're not already seeing evidence of what I'm going to tell you, you will start to see it very soon. So there is a lot of information coming out right now. Not so much in the mainstream. You're not going to find it in mainstream places like the news and mainstream books. You're going to have to dig a little deeper. There is a lot of information of what I'm going to share with you that is on the internet. And alright, so let's get started. My belief that the reason why we're seeing an escalation of gang stalking and directed energy weapons, like the fires that got started in this last month in October in California, because the fires were so precise. Fires aren't precise. They don't happen in a direct line. And I'll try to find the video that I watched and post that. But you could probably just be on YouTube, use the search box, search directed energy weapons California fires, and you'll probably come up with it. There was a firefighter that was he's a fire chief that he was interviewed, and he gives his account of what he thinks is going on. Anyway, that's a side note. So we're going to talk about ascension today. So ascension is an ongoing process. It happens like everything else in cycles, but this is a much larger cycle. So you've heard about maybe the precession of the equinoxes, that we've just left the Piscean age and we're entering into the Aquarian age. Okay, so that is coming into play here. I've also read recently, and I will do my best to post that as well, that NASA, as well as other sources, have said that we are moving into a new area of space that is higher in vibration. I can assure you that the narrative, the most common narrative that people believe on climate change is bullshit. We may be contributing a very small amount to global warming, but it's happening across the solar system. Every planet is heating up. Every planet is changing. And there are articles that have been written about this, okay? So that comes into play. and I forgive me if my thoughts aren't organized very well, but it's a holographic view that I take. I don't think just in linear terms anymore. I think in spherical holographic terms. So one of my sources is Drunvalo Melchizedek. Now there's information about him that could be helpful, but that just may confuse you as well if you're not familiar with a lot of the spiritual stuff that I'm going to be talking about. And it's all interrelated, spiritual as well as physical. But I'm going to talk about a lot of stuff that might freak you out, but don't get freaked out because it's all been going on. You're just now learning about it if you haven't already heard about what I'm going to talk about. So there are humans on our planet that have decided many eons ago that they want control of the earth and the population here. That is the agenda behind everything that's going on that's of a negative nature. The control of the media that we're seeing, the lies that are being told, the disinformation that's being mixed with truth. I suggest you don't watch TV anymore. The vibrations from TV, from your television, are detrimental, as well as the blue light, like what comes from our computers. So I'm going to do my best to give an overall picture of what's going on before I go into detail about stuff. But it's hard staying on point because there's so many tangents I could go off on. So now these human beings are being controlled by other beings from other planets, other star systems, other galaxies, like Draco. And I'll say right now, just as there are good and bad, just polarity of humans, you know, like the perps that are messing with people illegally, let's say, too. There are good and bad aliens also. We have reptilians that are that think they're in charge or have been given guardianship of our planet. There are good reptilians also that are trying to help things. Every being in our universe is going through this ascension process, which means a rise in vibration. Everything underlying our physical reality is related to vibration and the frequency that is generated from that vibration. Our physical, you know, like if you may have heard through science that there's a lot of empty space in each atom, and that the reason why we see physicality the way we do is because everything is vibrating so quickly. So that's part of it, okay? And I will get into how I have moved beyond being a target because of raising my vibration. And I did this without any knowledge of being a target. I have only learned about gang stalking since this last summer when I was introduced to it through reading about it on a kiosk that someone posted there where posters get put up for concerts. And I got attracted, I got inspired to go over and read it, and I didn't want to believe it, but it is true. And so these our own people have been duped, have been fooled into thinking that they're going to be given control of our planet, which is bullshit. Just like a lot of us are fooled into thinking that we are other than who we really are, and that comes into play. This is a message of hope for people, okay? So, what I believe, I'm kind of getting off course here. What I believe is about to happen, I believe that I am just becoming aware of this tragic reality that we're all going through right now with relation to gang stalking. That we are on the verge of a huge breakthrough. I've had my doubts about Trump, but I believe that he is truly here to drain the swamp and to, as he called it, level the playing field. I also believe that some of the actions he's taking, I've read an article recently that he's about to announce martial law. He's going to implement that as a way of his own control over the military, and also as a way to curtail some of this bullshit that's going on, okay? Because if we have troops standing on every corner regulating people, it's going to be very hard for these unfortunate souls, I'll call them, to be perpetrating some of the bullshit that they're doing, okay? Because there'll be curfews. Life will change very dramatically for a short time. But I'm not worried about it. I really am not. I believe it is part of the grand plan that Trump has against what he calls the deep state and the shadow government. There has been a process of rebuilding the republic that we have never been, that our forefathers that created the Constitution and the Declaration of Independence wanted for us. Because a republic, you should look up this word, okay? I look up a lot of words now. A republic gives power to the people. It's not the same as a democracy. And I'll tell you, democracy is a subtle bullying tactic because not everybody's wishes are supported. It goes to the majority. So you may want to further do some research on what I'm talking about here so that I don't have to go into a lot of detail about stuff and lose track of what I'm talking about. So what's been being done for a few years now is a reevaluation. And it's a reevaluation of our currencies. It has been happening across the globe in every country, especially Iran and Zimbabwe. So part of the RV, the reevaluation, puts us, one, back on a gold standard, and two, releases millions, no, we're talking quadrillions of money that has been illegally stolen from us through illegal taxation of the IRS. Okay, the IRS is an arm of the Federal Reserve. If you don't already know this, the Federal Reserve is a private bank for that 1% of poor souls, misguided souls, that have sought to control the rest of the population through money. And I'll tell you right now, we source to live. We buy into that belief because we've been born into it, okay? And money was constructed as a way of means to control people, just like so many other aspects of our daily life. And if you want to know how we can live without money, check out Ubuntu, U-B-U-N-T-U, michaeltellinger.com. He is heading this. He is a South African that started questioning his own government and the practices going on, and it led him on a 25-year journey of exploring sacred sites in his own country and all over the world. And in that process, he discovered a way of living that has been done for centuries in tribal units that works very well. So I encourage you to check out that. I attended his conference back in May when he was on his U.S. European tour. Anyway, to several links that are spiritual in nature. Okay, you may not agree with everything, but I assure you, I have followed these sources for many years. I have learned to trust them. They give credible information, and while most of it cannot be verified with physical means, you have to verify it here and here. Okay? Your heart and your power source. All right? And I apologize for the poor quality of my video. I'm using a laptop and a Mac. And it's not necessary that you see everything, so if the video freezes but you can still hear me, please just keep listening. So I believe this RV is about to break loose. We are very close, and believe me, if everybody has millions of dollars to spend, money anymore, they'll go. I think a lot of them will. Well, let's just say they're creating their own reality, just like we all are, and they will have to. The law of cause and effect, otherwise known as karma, is always working, and they will effectively eliminate themselves from this reality, which is sad. But ascension does not happen in just the physical reality. It is a spiritual evolution. But it is also happening physically. Okay. So, we are in a huge shift of consciousness, and it's happening on many levels. Okay. Know that we are multidimensional beings. We don't just live in 3D. Okay. We have all of us, none of us are indigenous to this planet. Okay. This planet is a mental construct, much like the what is described in the movie The Matrix, and it is happening in multiple dimensions. Okay, so what the precession of the equinoxes is so if you look at our galaxy, we have a central sun. And there are many arms coming out. And if you've been interested in science and you already know this, or even if you don't, our sun is in one of those arms. And just as our planet revolves around the sun, our solar system revolves also. And if you've paid attention to science, galaxies are turning ever so slowly, and they also collide. They merge with each other. So we are in a process of changing our location in space. Like I said earlier, we have been in the photon belt for quite a while now. Back in August, I think it was August 16th, 17th, somewhere around there, of 1987, what was called the harmonic convergence happened. I explain harmonic convergence as when we first started to enter the photon belt. Now, photons are particles of light. They are highly charged negative ions of light, okay? And in duality, we have positive and negative, all right? So this photon belt of highly charged particles is part of what's raising the vibration. Well, it is what's raising the vibration of our planet It's the reason why our planet is having to go through so much turmoil right now. She is cleansing her body. This is part of it. We are also cleansing our bodies. If you're getting sick, being sick is a symptom of negativity being released from your body. Okay? The sickness has already been there. The symptoms you experience of being sick is really your body expelling the sickness from you, okay, as well as negative vibrations. So, the deep state or shadow government, archons, cabal, whatever I'm going to just stick with cabal, okay, just for simplicity's sake. The cabal, they have been educated about everything spiritual, but they are using it to control us because so many people are unaware of who they really are. This is going to be included in another video, but believe me, you are God. Just like me, everybody, every person on this planet has a God spark, but it's largely ignored because of belief in religion, and what, religion is a construct of control. Basically, religion tells you that God's out here somewhere. No, God is out here, but it's right here too. This is what you've got to become aware of if you were going to move beyond this bullshit being done to you. Really, this is part of how I want to empower you, is to help you change your BS, your belief system, so that you're no longer dependent on anyone outside of you to tell you who you are. It's very important that you know this, that you embody it, because you can. You have a higher self that comes through you in the form of intuition or gut instinct. That's another term for it. I live from this place. And let me share something else real quick here. There's nothing wrong or bad about ego. That's another bullshit belief that we're told, and largely from people who claim to be spiritual. All these gurus that say your ego's got to die and all this, I'm telling you, that's the wrong language to use with yourself, because we are taught to fear death. And really, death is just a transition from this life to the next, or to our true beingness is from, in the spiritual realms. Okay, so I told you there's a lot of tangents I could go off on. If you don't already know some of this stuff that I'm telling you, you got a lot of work to do, I'm telling you, but it's all going to be very empowering to you. And that is my reason for being here today, is to empower you to move beyond this stuff. So, everything trickles down. Everything that is happening here on a physical level has already happened on a spiritual level. And I'm going to, like I said, and it's called the wake-up call, okay? Nancy Tate is behind the wake-up call. I have been following and getting her almost daily emails, or weekly emails now, for over 10 years. And I can tell you, her, along with Mike Quincey of ET First Contact, and he lives in the UK, they are the two channels of information that I follow on a daily basis. They are very uplifting, inspiring, and loving. You want, and that's really what you're looking for in anything that you follow. Make sure it inspires you, make sure it makes you feel good, make sure it's coming from a loving space, okay? So, I do believe in what Trump is doing. There are people that would disagree with me, but I believe he is on our side, even though he has taken actions that look like otherwise, okay? But he He's walking a fine line here. While he's helping all of humanity and the people in our state, he's also he has to keep up appearances, so to speak, to make it look like that he's not doing what he's doing. Okay, he's using deception in a positive way, while deception of the archons or the cabal is being used against us in a negative way. All right, deception is neutral. And just a quick thing about that, everything really can be neutral if you see it that way. And I encourage you to adopt a neutral perspective so that you can avoid reacting to the people that are trying to disrupt your life. So, going back to the huge shift in consciousness. So we are on the verge of making a huge leap in consciousness. And I don't buy into the whole evolution Darwin theory. That's all bullshit, because we didn't evolve from apes. Why would there still be apes? Evolution does not leave out beings of the same species. It doesn't leave them behind. It doesn't evolve some and leave the others behind. That's bullshit. That doesn't make sense. It's not logical. So, evolution is about evolution of who you are. Evolution as a spirit. Evolution as a God being. So it's a little difficult to describe what evolution feels like. But I can tell you from my own experience, I can tell that I'm evolving. And that's because of the improvements that have happened in my life by my own choice. Everything is a choice. And your free will is at the foundation of every choice that you make. Free will, people are led to believe that free will is just about being able to do whatever you want. Well, we can anyway. I mean, there's consequences that come with every choice. But what free will really means, because we are in duality, that means you have a choice of acting from love or fear. That is the space that you're in between having a thought and acting on it, okay? And that's why you're encouraged to make all of your choices from a place of feeling good, okay? That's why we're kept in fear. The cabal wants you to stay in fear because, one, they're harvesting all that energy for these other beings. They're living off of it, and they are living off of it also. They are using satanic ritual to increase the fear. It's my belief that we don't need ritual or what do you call it? Rituals, or I think it starts with a C. Anyway, all of these physical practices that go into ceremony. That was what I was trying to think of. Ceremony and ritual are for engaging the ego, okay? As a spiritual being, all you need is your intention to do something. And that's it, your intention. And I'll get into the law of attraction and how that works. As how we manifest. So, to go back, we're on the verge of a huge breakthrough. Now, Nancy Tate seems to think that we're going to see the RV released by December 15th. I would like to believe that. But for 2 years now, ever since I found out about the RV, I've discovered there are people waiting for it. They've been kept in a state of limbo, and somewhat by their own choice, but also because of the information they've been given. And I believe that some of the people giving out this information about the RV are giving disinformation as well to keep people hanging on the edge, to keep them waiting so that they stop living their lives, okay? Don't do that. Don't wait around for shit to happen, okay? And don't try to make it happen either. Decide what you want. Make sure you're coming from a place of feeling good and wanting it. And take the inspired actions necessary to fulfilling what it is that you want, okay? Now, I'm going to use an example of someone going out and buying a gun, okay? There's two reasons why people are going to go out and buy a gun, and this is a short lesson on what duality and making a choice in that duality coming from love or fear, okay? So, a targeted individual can go out and buy a gun because they're afraid for their life. Well, I'm telling you, that's the wrong place to go out and buy a gun. Seriously. Because if you're not educated on how to use that thing, it will be used against you. It will be taken from you and you will get shot with your own gun. And that is the statistic that is true. All right, now, another person's different targeted individual, they're pissed, they want to make a change, and they go out and buy a gun for their protection. They learn how to use it. They feel empowered in having it, and they will use it against the person. I'm not advocating this, just so you know. This is just an example that I'm giving, okay? I am not encouraging anyone to go out and get a gun to use against anybody else, okay? Because if you don't get the difference between making a choice from fear and making a choice from love, it's probably going to be used against you, all right? So this is just an example, all right? And I know it's probably a bad example, but it's the first one that comes to mind, so there you go. This shift in consciousness, another tangent. We are breaking through bandwidths of frequency, okay? Just as you adjust a radio to a certain frequency so that you can hear your favorite radio station, a lot of times you can move it a little bit and still hear it, but with static. And the more you move it toward the exact frequency, you'll hear it come through very clear. And then when you get on the other side of that, it'll be static again. So that little space where you can move back and forth, that's a bandwidth, okay? Frequencies happen in bandwidths, and you move through bandwidths as you rise in frequency, all right? So, and this is largely how you're going to beat being a target. This is how I've beaten it, is by doing my own inner work, by raising my frequency, by dealing with my shit up here, okay? And I'm sorry if I'm very blunt, but that is how you're going to beat it. And I will get to another video, hopefully later today, to do that. And I want to express my thanks. Just in the 5 days that I've made my first video about gang stalking, I've had over 200 views. And that may not seem a lot to a lot of people, but it tells me that there are a lot of people being targeted. They have employed a third of our population against us. And it not only pisses me off that this is going on, that I've been unaware of this happening. That I had no idea. Also, it makes me really sad. It makes me really sad to know that my brothers and sisters are going through this. So believe me, my heart is with you. I am an ally for you, 100%. And I have left it up to my higher self to figure out and to alert me as to what I can do to expose this without looking like I'm crazy. I have going for me, I have solid friends behind me, and I also have an army of spiritual beings guides and angels that have my back, as do you. I'm telling you, they're there. You can ask for help from these beings anytime, and you can just ask it silently to yourself, and they will help you. But you may, if you're not already doing this, you may not recognize how they're trying to help you. All right? So that's where intuition comes in. That is your guides, angels, your own inner guidance speaking to you, and it's important that you follow that. And I know how difficult it can be. It's been a journey for me, learning how to differentiate between my own inner guidance and my ego thoughts. But I'll tell you, the better you get at it, the greater the frequency difference between the negative thoughts you might have and the positive inspiration that you get. That is what's going to be your guidepost to tell the difference. So these Cabal beings have been educated. They know about universal law. They're using it against us. This is how they've learned how to use our free will against us. It's also the reason behind all the fear tactics, by keeping us in fear and keeping us down in the dumps. But you still have free will. You still have a choice. And you have to honor that choice. You have to care about how you feel, for one thing. And I'm sorry, I'm getting into other how to get around stuff here, and that is very important. But I want you to have an understanding of how this has happened. And it's happened because we've been kept ignorant about who we are. So I have notes here I'm trying to follow, but I think I should have written some more notes first. So just know that we are in a shift in consciousness. We have shifted ages. We are on the verge of 1,000 years of peace, and that is the truth. We are in the first stages of the chaos that has to happen, okay? Chaos is a rearranging of vibration and frequencies. In order to rise up in vibration, you have to let go of the lower vibrations. You can't hang on to them, or you're going to keep yourself stuck in the lower vibrations, okay? And that's what they're trying to do to us, is keep us stuck in these lower vibrations with fear-mongering and disinformation, and this is a big reason why you've got to stop watching TV, because it's keeping you in those lower vibrations. Now, if you're going to watch History Channel, if you're going to watch any TV, watch documentaries, watch the History Channel. They are coming out with a lot of the stuff about what's going on in Antarctica, and just a lot of stuff there. Get a subscription to Gaia TV. You will find a lot of information there on what's going on with Antarctica, as well as the secret space program. I can tell you that is a real thing. The reason I know I've been targeted since birth is because I was born in a military hospital down in Colorado Springs at the Air Force Academy Hospital, and I was targeted through them taking my blood, and I'm sure that's why every baby is pinpricked on the heel, is to get that drop of blood so they can test their blood and look for these genes that target them as an intuitive empath, because that's what I am. I am an intuitive empath. And I believe everyone has that capability, and it is by focusing on that ability, that is what's helped me raise my vibration to eliminate me as their target. Okay, I have removed myself from the bandwidth that they try to keep you in fear. I have risen above that. So if I have any negative thoughts, I can just say, okay, thank you for that, but I'm not going to believe that. I'm not going to choose that thought. I'm going to choose a thought that feels better, and that's what it's about. Abraham Hicks. Esther Hicks, who channels the group called Abraham, she is awesome. And I'm telling you, she was chosen because she had no preconceived ideas about spirituality. She was a blank slate. So it made her a perfect candidate for channeled information because she didn't have any ego constructs that would stand in the way or in her ego filter to filter out any of the truth that she channels. And she largely talks about the law of attraction, and that is where I learned about the law of attraction. So she is one of the best sources that I know of for learning about LOA. Okay. Anyway, so it's very important that you, if you're not already doing this, that you educate yourself about everything that I'm talking about. This may be a lot of new stuff for you. It may seem a little overwhelming, but if you take it in little baby steps, it won't be so overwhelming. And that's what you got to do. Take baby steps. Hopefully, you are in a position where you can do some of this research, that you're not already homeless and on the verge of committing suicide. But with that note, let me just say, there's no right or wrong choices, really. There's only the choices that either get you what you want or get you what you don't want. If you don't get what you want, that's the lesson, okay? There is no stigma in a spiritual sense to suicide. If you have to take yourself out of the game, and that's really what it is, we're just playing a big game here. We're playing a game as gods to find out who we are. And I believe we do this for fun, even though a lot of it may not seem like fun. It is fun in a spiritual sense, as we're getting to know who we are as individuals. Okay. So there's no stigma attached to suicide. If you have to take yourself out, if you are that miserable and you are unable to help yourself any further, then do it. And I say that because you are a spiritual being. You will release yourself from the pain associated with being in your physical body. This physical body is just for getting around in the 3D physical reality. This physical reality is not our true reality. It's a construct for playing the game, or acting in the movie, or the play, or however, whatever analogy you want to give it, you know. But we're not only just the actors, but we're the directors and we're the writers of all the scripts. So that's kind of that's the analogy I like to use, is that we're in our own movie, okay? And Earth is the stage for that, or the playground if you want to use the game analogy. So suicide may be how you already determined that you were going to leave this realm, okay? Now, if that doesn't resonate with you, please forgive me. I'm not trying to encourage people to commit suicide. I am not one of them, all right? I'm not a perpetrator. I'm just letting you know that if you've chosen that way out, to not worry about it, okay? It's not going to help you spiritually. If you end up going through another reincarnation, you're going to pick up right where you left off. It doesn't help in that sense, but it is an out if you get that desperate to take that out, all right? But first, I would encourage you to try to rally people around you, find other people like you that are going through this, and start a group. It is about uniting. It is about coming together. This is your wake-up call, people. This is your wake-up call to live a spiritual life, because that is who you are. I can't stress that enough. All right. So, I think I've talked talked enough about. It's so hard to stay on track with what I want to say here. I encourage you to get Drunvalo's book about the Ouroboros. I have read it. I can't remember what the title is right now, but if you go to Drunvalo, DRUNVALO.net, somewhere on there you can find a list of the books he's written. The last one he wrote was about the Ouroboros, the snake that eats its own tail. And he describes very well what the precession of the equinoxes is, so that I don't have to get into too much detail about what that is. But it is happening on a universal physical sense in space, where our planet is going through each different what's it called? Each sign of the zodiac. So we've entered into the sign of Aquarius, and our solar system, I believe, is what goes through that, not just our planet. It's the whole solar system that goes through that, and it's a very long cycle. It's about 26,500 years. I think that's the cycle I'm talking about. And I believe the largest cycle that we have to deal with is the galactic cycle. And it's somewhere in the millions of years that takes our galaxy to make one revolution. All right, so, and maybe, I don't know, I might have my date or my times here a little skewed, so forgive me. Maybe it's the 26,500 year cycle that it takes our galaxy, so that our galaxy would be going through each, where we are in the galaxy would be going through each cycle of going through all the anyway, I already said it. My mind's drawing a blank right now, and that's it's very early in the morning here, and I haven't had my coffee yet. In fact, my coffee's sitting over here getting cold. Anyway, I hope that this has done something to empower you, to know that it is all coming to an end. The frequencies are only going higher every day and exponentially. There is an end to this, and it ends with your physical ascension. You do have, we've been through this cycle many times. Okay, so Lemuria and Atlantis, those were two other ascension cycles that we didn't make it through. And it's okay, because the third time's the charm, right? We're in cycle number 3 here of trying to, basically Earth is going through a physical ascension process, and that's why she's going through the cleansing that she needs to. We have polluted her heavily, unfortunately, and that is not all of our fault. That is part of the construction of, I believe that the Cabal has not only tried to control us, they're trying to control the Earth, and they want to destroy Earth, which doesn't really make much sense because they destroy themselves in the process. But I don't know that mindset because I don't have it, so I can't say I really understand the thinking behind wanting to destroy our planet. But I'm telling you, I have direct experience with Mama Gaia and other beings as well that I'm not going to get into right now because that will really raise the hair on your neck. But believe me, I'm here to help you. Please keep watching my videos. I'm going to post more. There is so much that I'm going to try to explain so that you get a clear understanding of what we're going through right now. It's not just about me being targeted. There's a much larger picture behind this. So I'm sure that I will touch on this later in other videos, but right now I'm going to let you go because I know it's a little boring watching an almost hour video. So I love you. I love you for being the being that you are. You are part of the whole, part of the one. We are all one in energy, just individuals in body. Namaste. I love you. Please go in peace and God be with you.